tonight's debate. I'm Kim Council President of the League this year. And some of you know this anyway, the state league has approved our invitation for the Elizabeth County. I'm sorry.
Maybe I'm not sure that.
It's on. I'm just talking. The mission of the league is to bring as much information as we can to all of you, and so to have an informed vote when you go to the polls. And the league is open to women and men. If anybody's interested in joining, Mary Board, our treasurer, is at the table back there. She'll be glad to help you. And the league is, should I say this already? We do not support any candidate or any party. I'd like to thank the league members that are helping us out tonight. We've got quite a few here. Judy Lewis is the debate coordinator. Bill Melbourne is voter services. Diane Mosnick for the voters guide. Darlene Loman, Paul Stiles. Jan Renicky, Irene Little, Van Little. And the timekeepers tonight will be Brenda Smith and Barry James. And I want to do a special thanks to our moderator tonight, Kaylee Tate, who is a retired attorney and a league member. Kaylee.
Thank you, Peggy. Welcome. My name is Kaylee Gray, and I'll be the moderator for tonight's debate among the candidates for San Marcos City Council and the Forum on the City Propositions. Tonight we're going to begin with our forum on the City of San Marcos propositions. There are two propositions on the ballot. Proposition number 1 would amend the San Marcos City Charter to add a section that would prohibit the addition of certain fluoridation chemicals to the San Marcos municipal water supply. We have two speakers tonight who will address this proposition. Speaking in favor of the proposition is Sam Brannon. And speaking against the proposition is Dr. Corey Carruthers. If they'd come up, please, and sit at the table. Each of these speakers will have 3 minutes to present his position on the proposition, and then we'll present the league's for and against research of the subject, followed by audience questions to the speakers. Are you ready? We'll begin with a 3-minute presentation on their positions on the proposition. Mr. Bratton, would you begin, please? And I would note for y'all that our timekeepers are right here in the front, so they'll kind of let you know when you're 3 minutes.
Let's start with a quote. It says, "I am appalled at the prospect of using water as a vehicle for drugs. Fluoride is a corrosive poison that will produce serious effects on a long-range basis. Any attempt to use water in this way is deplorable." That was a warning in 1938 from the head of the American Medical Association, Dr. Charles Gordon Hyde. Another quote from Dr. Dean Berg, the former head of research at the National Cancer Institute. In the Congressional Record from 1976, he said, "Fluoride causes more human cancer death than any other chemical." I'm Sam Brannon. I'm the organizer of the Fluoride-Free San Marcos organization, and as a finance major, it's a little intimidating to be sitting next to a dentist on this topic. We're going to do our best. There are two things I would have to leave here with tonight. One is that the fluoride that they put in our water is not the fluoride that's used in his office. The fluoride there is sodium fluoride. That's what they use on the teeth of kids and in the toothpaste. The fluoride that they put in our water is actually hydrofluorosilicic acid. It's a waste product from phosphate fertilizer manufacturing. The manufacturers are not allowed to dump it in landfills, in rivers, in lakes, or in oceans. And yet, it still winds up in our water supply. The second point I would have to leave here with tonight is there is no real science on the value of fluoridation. There has never been a randomized controlled trial. That's the gold standard in the pharmaceutical industry. There's never been a randomized controlled trial performed that determines the effectiveness or the health risk of water fluoridation. And that's why the FDA still lists fluoride as an unapproved drug. There are numerous institutions and agencies that promote fluoridation: the CDC, the American Medical Association, the American Dental Association. They toss statements around as if they're science, and sometimes they give part of the story. But there is no solid science behind it. Meanwhile, there are hundreds of peer-reviewed articles in medical and scientific journals that indicate problems with thyroid, with kidney, with neurological development. There are 44 different studies that indicate that children in fluoridated communities wind up with lower IQs than those in non-fluoridated communities. As always, I recommend you not believe anything I tell you in just 3 minutes. You've got a week before the voting starts. We have resources at our table. We can point you in a direction to do your own research, and I highly encourage you to do that. One more quote from the former EPA executive, Dr. Robert Carton, and he still goes around talking about this. Fluoridation is the greatest scientific fraud of the 20th century, if not all time. I'm Sam Brandon. We ask for your vote for Prop 1 and against Prop 2 in the upcoming election. Thank you very much.
Dr. Carruthers, you have 3 minutes to address the subject.
We just celebrated the 70th anniversary of community water fluoridation. Basically, the fluoridation of community water supplies is the precise adjustment of a deficient amount of fluoride that's found in our water. We are able to take that additive and fortify it in hopes to prevent mineral decay. We use a very small amount. The recommended dosage is 0.7 parts per million. 1 part per million is equal to 1 inch out of 16 miles, 1 minute out of 2 years, or 1 cent out of $10,000. Very small amount. We treat water with over 40 chemicals to make it clean and healthy for us to consume. When the optimal level of fluoride is deficient, we are able to add additives to the water as a fortifier to help fight mineral decay. It's the same thing as adding vitamin D to milk, calcium, orange juice, iodine, and salt. No court of last resort has ever said that you're being self-medicated by drinking optimally fluoridated water. The 3 fluoride additives that we use to fluoridate community water supplies all meet the safety standards that are established by the American Water Works Association and the NSF International. A branch of the National Academy of Sciences released a report that was prepared for the EPA that confirmed that the currently allowed fluoride levels in optimally fluoridated water do not pose risk for health-related problems such as cancer, kidney failure, or bone disease. People like to cite a study where there was 10 towns that had fluoridated water, 10 towns against it. The initial report said that 10 towns that had fluoridated water had a higher cancer rate. However, the scientific community was able to break that down multiple times and said it was not a valid study. They went ahead and followed those same groups of towns for an extra 10 years and found there was no difference in cancer rate between the 2 groups. What happens if we take it out of our water? The amount of decay in our children is going to exponentially increase. 2 examples. Antigua, Wisconsin, they began their water fluoridation program in 1949. They ceased it in 1960. After 5.5 years of suboptimal fluoridated water, they had over a 200% increase in decay in 2nd graders, 70% increase in decay among 4th graders, and a 90% increase in decay among 6th graders. They reinstituted the water fluoridation program due to the severe deterioration of their oral health. Another town, this is in Wick, Scotland. In 1979, they discontinued the water fluoridation to a subprime level of 0.02. Within 5 years, they had a 27% increase in decay among permanent teeth and 40% increase in decay among primary teeth. And that was during a time when the rate of decay was declining globally. The Centers for Disease Control did say that fluoridation is everything that a public intervention should be. It's cost-effective, equitable, safe, and highly impactful. It's one of the greatest impacts that everybody, regardless of socioeconomic impact, is affected. They also said it's one of the 10 greatest public health achievements of the 20th century. We have over 70 years of research, and there's never found to be harmful. In my opinion, this is about the kids in our community. Adults too, but to more extent, the kids. We need to fight for them and keep this in our waters.
At this point, we'd like to present to you the league research. The league has gathered the major arguments for and against Proposition 1. We have 2 league members that are going to present that to you, Irene Hoadley and Jan Rudnicki.
Good evening. To begin with, I'd like to remind everyone that when you read the proposition on the ballot, it is written in the negative. Therefore, a vote for Proposition 1 is to stop adding fluoride to the water. A vote against Proposition 1 is to continue adding fluoride to the water. I will read the 4 comments, and Holly will read the against. The first 4 comment is proposition in favor of not adding these forms of fluoride to city water based on numerous studies that there is no conclusive scientific data to prove that fluoridation prevents dental decay.
And the against side of that is, according to numerous studies, fluoridation of community water supplies is an effective health measure to prevent dental decay.
Another reason 4, those in favor of not adding fluoride to the city water say that it contaminates our fresh water supply, affecting both humans and wildlife.
And against, historically, the reason given for adding fluoride to the municipal water supplies is ample evidence suggesting that water with added fluoride benefits the dental health of the total population when U.S. guidelines are followed.
Another reason 4, using fluoridated toothpaste has been proven in some studies to be good for oral health, negating the need for fluoridation of the water supply.
Those in favor of continued fluoridation argue that even with the widespread use of fluoride toothpaste, fluoridation continues to be effective in reducing dental decay.
Those in favor of removing fluoride from the city water supply express concern that individuals within the community consume contaminants in their water of which they are not aware.
There is abundant research and information to support fluoridation and the positive effect it provides to communities, especially children and those who do not have access to adequate dental care.
At this point, I'd like to ask if there's any audience questions of our panel here with the for and against positions. If you have a question, please come up to the podium. I'd like for you to limit your question to 30 seconds, please, and state your name before you ask your question. We'll take as many as we can.
My name is Gina Fleming, and I'd like the panel.
Get real close to the mic, please.
My name is Gina Fleming, and I'd like the panel to address how one controls for different sensitivity into doses. We know that a medication, not everyone can take the same dose. In children, how do you address the varying doses for adults and children? And when water is set out and evaporates from cooking, how that changes the doses? How do all these varying doses, how are they accounted for?
Dr. Carruthers?
So the previous guidelines actually gave us a value or range for the amount of fluoride we could have in the water between 0.7 and 1.2. They've recently changed that to 0.7 parts per million, which is I can't tell you the actual how they got that number, but through their research, that's the number that they came up with. Different people do take in or ingest the fluoride differently. Older people may not have as good of uptake as children. So that's why the value is so little. But there's never been any history or science that has ever shown a cytotoxic amount of fluoride in a child. In some communities, naturally occurring fluoride, they have it up to 20 parts per million, which is exponentially greater than what we have. So I would say everybody does uptake it differently. However, I can't tell you the doses, but it's a very safe range.
Mr. Brandon, do you have any comments on that question?
Thank you. Yeah, the question really gets to the heart of medical ethics. And the AMA has medical ethics, and these are carried down for centuries since medicine has become part of our daily lives. And one of which is that we have a doctor consult with us before they medicate us. They look at our individual condition and they decide what's best for us. Dosage control, Ms. Fleming, is a key part of that. If we drink 2 cups of water a day versus 2 gallons a day, sometimes when I'm working outside, we get 2 or 3 gallons a day. I'm taking a lot more fluoride than somebody who does not drink very much water. And the point is, they don't really have a way to measure it. They don't have a way to suggest what it ought to be. So there are many different arguments on the medical ethics side, but that's one of the reasons the community fluoridation fails, because they're not addressing the need. It's almost like herd medicine in a way. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lisa Marie Copeland. I have a question for the hack for the fluoride. Which administration changed our water supply, and how does your research cited by hacks account for chemically sensitive people like me?
Mr. Brandon, you want to begin with that? Oh, okay. So,
I believe the question was for the hack. So, I honestly don't know how to answer your question. I didn't even understand it
The
fully.
question, I'll say the question again. Which mayoral administration decided to fluoridate our water? You should know that as a representative for the city. And how does your research, of which you can't extrapolate in these follow-up questions, account for chemically sensitive people? Something you should know about as a dentist, chemically sensitive people. Thank you.
First of all, I'm not a representative of the city. I'm a representative of my patients, or not even my patients. I'm a representative of myself and patients that I feel if we're going to take the fluoride out of the water, are going to be affected substantially. I have no ties to the city. All I can do is speak for what I believe in, and that's what it is.
So in which administration?
I'm sorry, Mayor, you let him address the question. We need to give him.
I was not here with that Merrill that did it. I've been here for 8 years, so I cannot tell you who that was.
Mr. Brandon, would you like to address it?
I might shed some light. My understanding is San Marcos has been fluoridating since 1987, if I'm not mistaken. And to answer the other part of the question is every city council is making the decision to fluoridate. It's a policy that's in place, but every time they approve a budget with a line item for fluoridation, it's that council making that decision.
Other audience questions?
My name is Sarah Lee Underwood, and I really appreciate you guys bringing this to my attention, because before this came up to the ballot, I was unaware of it. My question is, if this fluoride is not the same fluoride that's for our dentist, why is it in there to begin with? And we would never dream of swallowing toothpaste, which has fluoride in it.
Who would you like to begin with that question?
I don't know. Who would feel comfortable with that? It's a real
Dr.
concern.
Carruthers, you want to start with that question?
I'm trying
What's my
to
question?
break it down exactly. It is a different fluoride content that we do use in our office from what we're able to mass produce. It does come from a byproduct of the fertilizer industry, so it's not useful as a fertilizer, but they're able to repurpose it to put it, so maybe it comes in the bulk quantities of it. Fluoride is easily ingestible if you swallow a tube of toothpaste. However, you can tie it up very easily. You can drink a cup of milk and the calcium will combine to the fluoride and it will just excrete it. So it's very hard to have it as a toxic when you have to drink thousands of glasses of water in one day, which is only possible to have a poison from the fluoride that is added. I would have to think the difference in the fluorides comes from the production of it or what they're able to mass produce. The fluoride that we get comes in more like gel type forms that we're able to supply more locally than what they add to the water.
So I guess my question is, if it's not good for us, why is it in there?
I don't think it's necessarily not good for you. I think it has very strong benefits, and I think there's been a lot of research, history, just historical facts about it, where they take it out and the decline in amounts.
Thank you for your answer. Also, I'm just concerned about
Sorry, we need to let
the cost.
Answer your question. Mr. Brandon, comments on that?
Yeah, the last I heard about a year and a half ago, the city was paying $14,000 a year for it. As far as why they chose the hydrofluorosilicic acid, the industrial waste to put in there, I don't have a good answer for that. I read articles where they speculate on what that reason is. I've heard many. I don't really know how to answer that, but I will say that one of the suppliers of this product was recently fined $2 billion by the EPA for having dug a giant hole in the ground and put this sort of waste and many other sorts of waste in there. They've got a $2 billion fine against them. I think it's still standing. So I don't know how to directly answer your question.
Another audience question?
Hello, thank you so much. My name is Celeste Montfort, and I have a doctorate of public health, and I live here in San Marcos. The U.S. Surgeon General, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the American Dental Association, the Texas Dental Association, the American Public Health Association all support community water fluoridation. And because we have a really high low-income population here in San Marcos, 70% of the kids in the San Marcos School District are eligible for a free lunch. I wonder if Dr. Carruthers could address the importance of community water fluoridation for children in particular. What does it do to the structure of their teeth to assist them in their oral health?
So during tooth development, fluoride incorporates itself into the hard enamel and essentially makes the teeth stronger, which makes them less resistant to bacteria. That's why a lot of people in West Texas have really strong teeth, is because of the amount of fluoride they have in their water. If we do take it out, the teeth essentially as they're forming are going to be weaker, which means we're going to have more school hours lost for our students. We already lose 51 million hours a year in lost school hours. It's also going to include lost job hours for their parents or grandparents that have to take them to appointments. It's going to be lost income from parents that may already be having a very hard time to get by. It's going to put an economic tax on these families and a burden that these families don't need to have. That's why I think it's so important. Something as simple as drinking a glass of water might be the only care that these kids are able to have on a daily basis, because maybe they can't afford to go. So that's why I feel passionate about it. I think that you can find pros and cons for everything, but I just don't see the negatives in a place like we live in today.
Mr. Brennan?
Yeah, the impoverished children is the reason a lot of people really want to continue this. I'll say that I substitute taught in the San Marcos School District for a year and a half. And I spent my time in high schools and middle schools and elementary schools, and I can tell you that if a kid needs to brush his teeth when he gets to school, there's always toothbrush and toothpaste they're waiting on. Is that sufficient? I don't know. I imagine through the WIC programs and other things. I'll work with anybody on the pro-fluoridation side that wants to make sure the children of this town get fluoridated toothpaste if that's what they wish. On the many institutions that back this up, but I'll tell you again, is there has not been a single what they call randomized controlled trial, and that is the benchmark in the medical community. If you go to our table outside, you'll see a chart with fluoridated and non-fluoridated countries. And fluoridated countries and non-fluoridated countries, the cavities are all reducing at the same rate. Why? Because they're paying more attention to hygiene, diets are better, that sort of thing. But there's not really any honest science behind it. Thank you.
My name is Lee Rice, and this is a question mainly for Dr. Carruthers, the dentist. I'm not sure if you're aware, or if you are, what is your opinion on the CDC advisory that states those that reconstitute powdered baby formula not use fluoridated city water to do that. They advise on distilled water or non-fluoridated water. Are you aware of that? It's on the CDC website.
I am not aware of that at this time.
What would you think the reason would be for their decision?
I'm not sure what they have as far as the powder that they're putting in.
No, I meant regular baby formula.
Yeah, I know. But I'm talking about the formula. What are the ingredients in the formula that potentially could be too much? Does the formula have fluoride in it? I don't know. I don't know what the ingredients of fluoride is. Why you don't add city water to it? I do not know the recommendations for that. I don't think it's an issue. I really don't. I have used formula on my kids with city water, and they were fine, very strong and healthy. I think you can make a study for science. You can find anything you want to on the internet, and it's how you interpret it. And once it's out there, it's out there forever. You can go about and find anything that you want to find to support something for or against. As far as specifically the baby formula, I'm not sure. So, well, the CDC definitely supports community fluoridated water. They have backed that multiple times, and that's, as far as the baby formula, I'm not sure. I do know they back community fluoridation. It's one of the 10 greatest health achievements of the 20th century.
Mr. Brennan, any comment on that question?
Yeah, when a mother mixes the powder with fluoridated water, the child receives about 300 times the amount of fluoride that's in mother's milk. And I'll tell you that there's not a single biochemical process in the body that requires fluoride. So it does have the opportunity to have an intoxication effect, neurological effect, and they've demonstrated through the fluorosis. But the dental fluorosis is not just a cosmetic issue. It's structural within the bones. It's skeletal fluorosis. That just pop out on teeth. It's instrumental in the way the bones are developing. I think that was one of the comments.
My name is Dan Lyon, and I live in San Marcos.
You need to get closer so we can hear you.
My name is Dan Lyon. I live in San Marcos. My question for Dr. Carruthers is, have you ever read the material safety data sheet on hydrofluorosilicic acid?
I have seen it, yes. Could I recite it to you? No, sir, I could not.
Have you read it word for word?
Not the entire thing, no, sir, I have not.
All right.
Have you examined multiple MSPS?
I've got a copy. I don't have it with me, unfortunately.
Okay. No, I've not read it word for word.
All right, hydrofluorosilicic acid, it's only 19%, fluoride. Now, a lot of the stuff that's in it also is cadmium, arsenic, lead. How much of that do we need for our teeth or for any of our metabolic functions?
0. I would say how they add it, they're doing it in the safe manner, but no, we do not need that.
Right. And basically, no.
Sir, you need to get to your question.
All right. Well, no amount of it's good for you. Is that correct?
Correct. And I would venture to say chlorine's not good for you, but we have to have that in our water to be safe to drink.
I understand that. We get our water from Lake Dunlap, which is a miracle of regional planning. But anyway.
So, sir, you have 30 seconds for your question. I think, use that time up. So we need to let Mr. Brennan have a chance to.
One more thing. Do you realize that they have to wear hazmat suits to handle hydrofluorosilicic acid?
Yes, I realize they have to wear hazmat suits to, if you drop a thermometer and the mercury spills on the ground, they have to come in with a hazmat suit to clean it up. So,
Right. So
yeah, they do for a lot of things.
And it's got a 3 on the health hazard, which means significant health hazard. You know that, right?
Thanks for your question. Mr. Brennan, do you have any comments on that? No. Thank you, gentlemen. I think that's all the questions we spent a long time on this, but it's of interest to everyone, and we want to be informed voters. Proposition 2. Proposition 2 will also appear on the city San Marcos ballot. I said there are 2 propositions. Proposition 2 would amend section 12.11 of the San Marcos City Charter regarding charter amendments to include a cross-reference to the requirements in section 6.03 for verification of signatures on any petition paper. Basically, it's about the procedure. We're trying to get a change to the city charter. Again, we'll have Irene Hudley and Jen Rudnicki read the arguments for and against Proposition 2 that the lead has gathered. And this again is also in the voter's guide if you need to read it.
A vote for Proposition 2 is a clarification of the petition signature verification process. If citizens circulate a petition to place a charter amendment before the voters, The signature on the petition must be verified by an oath or affirmation of the person or group circulating the petition. This is consistent with the signature verification requirements for initiative, referendum, or recall petitions.
The against part of that is requiring an oath of authenticity for signatures on a petition to amend the city charter makes the process more complicated for citizens.
A vote for Proposition 2 will make it clear that petition signature verification requirements apply to any citizen petition in order to place an item on the ballot. A requirement for any petition paper since the original city charter was adopted in 1967.
Requiring signature verification is a limiting factor in citizen participation in the governmental process.